Welcome once again to the world of the Bard's Tale. Last time I spoke about the first part, and today I'll continue with the Bard's Tale 2, the Destiny Knight. Also, I think I'll get rid of this green screen wall. After all, Bard's Tale 2, the Destiny Knight, doesn't take place in Skara Brae. No, it takes place in multiple cities.
RetroKork.
Welcome to the wilderness. You can barely see the shadows of my green screen here. Great. That's at least because this is the wilderness how I would present it in a modern environment. After all, you don't want to look at the Tudor style buildings that are in the game right now because they're a bit blocky, especially compared to me. According to legend, and legend being Wikipedia, the series originally was considered to be Tales of the Unknown, and every game had a subtitle, this one being the Archmage's tale, but they decided that the Bard's Tale was too successful a name, so they turned that into the franchise title. Anyway, according to Wikipedia, the predecessor, Bard's Tale 1, was held hostage by the creator of this game, who was the only one who created this game, Michael Cranford. And he held it hostage, allegedly, to get the contract that he himself and only himself could design this game. Then again, the legend comes from the mouth, basically, of the co-creator, of someone who claims to be the co-creator, even though Cranford objects and says, nope, never touched it, wasn't involved in it. Anyway, this comes from Rebecca Heinemann, or Berger, as she often was called back then. I know some people will say something. I know, trust me. But make of that what you will, of course. It could be ego, it could of course be the truth. I can't say. This game, by the way, I first encountered on the PC, and since DOSBox is available, and I have the game, well, I will go and use that. After all, I actually doubt that there's quite a lot of difference between the systems, gameplay-wise. Only graphics may differ. Anyway, in this game we explore the world outside of Skara Brae. Skara Brae actually doesn't appear in the Destiny Knight, which, by the way, it uses quite a few biblical references, and Mr. Crawford afterwards decided to go and study religion, philosophy at the university. 5 of the cities in this game are named after the places that Paul the Apostle sent letters to. But of course, the biggest question is, as always, why do you go on an adventure? Well, the answer is that Archmage, which, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, now is a proper class of its own and has its own magic spells. Well, an Archmage, going by the name of Lagoth Xanta, has stolen an item called the Destiny Wand and disassembled it into 7 pieces, hiding the parts all over the world of the Destiny Knight. And the pieces of the Destiny Wand, which I assume is just a sonic screwdriver like this one, the pieces are hidden in so-called Death Snare puzzle rooms, which basically means these puzzles are timed and done real time. So yes, like its predecessor, it's a dungeon crawler with a slight twist. The game, by the way, has a few new buildings. For example, now there is some kind of bank system where your party can deposit and withdraw money, which is a good investment in case your party ceases to be. On most systems there are also casinos included, where you can play a game not entirely unlike blackjack. And of course there are the buildings we all know and love from the predecessor, that is Garth's equipment shop, the taverns, the review board, Roscoe's Energy Emporium, and of course the metric ton of unmarked buildings which may contain entrances to dungeons, or they might just hold monsters, enemies, or they might hold nothing at all. But of course the biggest addition to the game is the inclusion of a wilderness. And you'll have to go through the wilderness to reach the other cities. And there are some places of interest outside cities as well. There's also a ginormous change in the game mechanics. For example, now you can actually save and restore monsters that have joined your party, which also means you get to resurrect them. Henceforth, the party can now consist of a maximum of 7 people, and there is no special slot anymore. But the most important fact is, of course, we have an Archmage. You get to learn new powerful spells, and not to mention that you need an Archmage actually to assemble the Destiny Wand and complete the game. Yes, only Archmages can undo the damage done by Lagoth Xanta by wielding the Destiny Wand and therefore reassembling and becoming the Destiny Knight, therefore, the titular Destiny Knight. And yes, that explains why it originally was intended to be the Archmage's tale. Anyway, your journey isn't over as soon as you have assembled the wand. No, you need to defeat Lagoth Xanta so he cannot undo all the good you've come to do. Well, that after all, he now has the Destiny Wand. As you would expect, as with the predecessor, you can import characters from the predecessor, in this case now, as well as Ultima 3. Or if you're playing this game on the Apple II, you can also import characters from Wizardry Proving Grounds for the Mad Overlord. Your party can now consist, as I said, of 7 people, simply because the S slot, the special slot, is now gone. Because monsters are now pretty much like regular adventurers. Yeah, combat. There was a change in combat too. It got a slight overhaul. Now there are distances, even in the combat, and they're more prevalent. You may have to cross a distance, close in on the enemy might close in on you. Also, the bard now knows 7 songs, all of them having new names and slightly different abilities, but they still buff your party. So what will have happened after Lagoth Xanta, whose name is severely silly? What will have happened after Lagoth Xanta has gone the way of the parrot, so to speak? When he's a goner. He is no more. He is an ex-archmage. Well, for that we'll take a look at the next and last installment of my Bard Sealed Series review series. Because then I will cover the Thief of Fate. And for now I bid you farewell, and I'm going to see you again in 2 weeks. When I said I see you in 2 weeks, then I'll cover Thief of Fate,